Okay, so we are about to start. We're starting now the first block of the presentations, and it's a pleasure for me to present Manfred Stahnke. He's been here himself, and his music has been discussed and presented here. I think every time. And about Manfred Stahnke, very quickly, I would like to say that he was born in 1951 in Kiel, in Germany. At the age of 15, he started to study violin, piano, and composition in Lübeck. Stahnke studied composition with Wolfgang Fortner, with Klaus Huber and Brian Ferneyhough, and with Georgi Ligeti. In addition, he studied piano. His primary piano teacher was Edith Picht-Axenfeld. He also holds a doctoral degree in musicology, with a thesis on the subject of Pierre Boulez's Third Piano Sonata under Konstantin Floros in Hamburg. In 1979-80, he went to the United States to study with the microtonalist Ben Johnston, Ben Chaunin, at Stanford University, Ben Johnston in Urbana, Illinois, and with the computer music researcher and composer John Chaunin at Stanford University, California. Since 1989, he's professor of composition and music theory at the Hochschule für Musik und Theater. Emeritus since April 2019. Since 1999, he's a member of the Freie Akademie der Künste Hamburg, the director of the music section. He's also a member of the board of trustees of the Goethe Institute Munich for many years. He plays viola in the Tonart Ensemble. Please welcome Professor Manfred Stahnke.
Thanks, Augustine. Yeah, now we are a nice audience. I see old friends are here, like Johannes Kocci. Would be wonderful for me if I could see you at least shortly now. If you, for me, start the video just very shortly to know how you look. For this is so anonymous. Yeah, danke. Some of you are here. Very good to see you. I just want to say hello also to faces. I mean, I love Zoom or similar programs for it eased my being a composer, lecturer, whatever, musician through COVID. So I enjoy to be with you now. I am a retired professor in Hamburg, so the institute cannot pay my travel costs anymore. And I'm very thankful to Augustine that you gave many of us the possibility to do it per Zoom. I will start very shortly to say something what Augustine just said about me. My very beloved teacher in microtonality really was Ben Johnston in Urbana, Illinois. And we visited us many times. He came to Germany, and I saw the premiere of a large orchestra piece of his in Donaueschingen. We sat side by side, and he was so lovely. It were the very last years where he continued traveling. And after that, you will know it, he became very, very ill and didn't travel anymore. But he was my very, very close friend, and we discussed many things. And so I would love to say something today about his seventh quartet. It was a big adventure for me to think about this piece. Maybe you know his quartet Amazing Grace, which is his fourth quartet. It became kind of famous. Many quartets played this, like Kronos. But the seventh quartet was recorded only in the studio in a perfect manner by the Kepler Quartet. And I hope that the machine here will be able to show you some examples in sound of this piece. This is a very, very special piece. Just to put it very shortly now, Ben is trying to superimpose just intervals, not only fifths, which is the basis now for this piece, but also just intoned thirds and sevenths and so on. And you can imagine that this is very, very complicated to play for the quartet. And I must inform you, or you know it already, that the Kepler Quartet only played these 10 pieces, these 10 quartets of Ben in the studio, never on stage. For this seems to be impossible to really interpret these pieces perfectly in just intonation. Just to start, let me try, Augustine, to see if everything is okay if I share the screen with all of you. So I press the button and we will see if you can hear it. Okay? So this is the first test to hear this beginning of the seventh quartet and a special movement, which I will try to present you very shortly today. For the topic, Ben Johnston, his notation is a huge topic, and it will take us years to really come close to it. So I can only give you a glimpse to the thinking of Ben Johnston. So I do share screen. Okay, Augustine, you seem to have to activate it. Is that true? Okay, from my side, we will see. If this could work. I will just give you the sound. Maybe, Augustine, it works. I start the sound. 2 seconds. Did you hear anything?
Yes, we hear it, but we didn't see your screen.
Okay. But at least you can hear now.
Yes.
I share my screen, but I see the message you deactivated the my screen. This is my message, which I get from here.
I don't see this.
Oops. Maybe you have to activate it.
Okay, maybe speaker. Okay, now I see you, but I don't see.
Not my screen.
Yes. Okay.
For example, this is my lecture and my example. Do you see something?
No, I see you. I don't know if somebody can see you, but I don't see. And this can share. Okay, one advanced sharing. Okay, anyone can share actually. 1%. Yeah, all. Okay. Sorry, this one. All participants.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Multiple. Okay. We could.
So this is an example of with solemnity. This is the movement.
Oh.
This is another screen. Okay.
Okay. So I will try multiple. Okay. No multiple, just in case. Uh, one. Okay. At a time. So please, sorry about that.
Okay. So maybe I go on a little bit with my lecture just to inform you. Maybe you can work on it a little. It would be very nice if you could see the example, the score example of with solemnity of Ben Johnston's Seventh Quartet.
But you can share the screen now. Yes, yes. Now you're starting to share. Great. Yes, perfect.
Can you see with solemnity?
Yes.
Ah, this is very good. Okay. This is the sound example. I just give it to you again. So this is what we can hear at the very beginning of this movement, superimposed fourths of fifths, and then you can see just in tone 7 to 4, so just sevenths, I could say, and a U tonality, which is can be seen in, let me see, oops, wow, I have to put this away, get this in front. This is the score which you may see now from Ben Johnston. And this is my translation, I could say, starting with note C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat. Can you follow my mouse?
Yes, yeah.
And the low, oh, very good that you can see this. And then from A flat, you have the just in tone 7 over 4, just in tones minor seventh, and octave, and so on. And then you see what Ben called U tonality, which is an under tonality, tonality in the sense of Harry Parge, his mentor. O tonality was the overtone series, and U tonality was the undertone series. Just to be sure you can understand me as talking and seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, it's fine. And here you can see, I don't sing it now in the perfect pitch, but you can see undertones 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, which could sound at the very beginning ba ba ba, like minor chord, ba 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 ba, and then in under just minor seventh, and just ninth, and just 11th. So just let me try to show this to you in sound again. Oh, well, where do I have? Yeah, here it is in sound. Yeah, it then goes on, of course, but you can hear, and I will give you a little more of sound shortly, what Ben is intending. So it's really very, very lovely interpretation of the Kepler Quartet. 4 professors from the United States, never playing as an ensemble together in concert, but doing all the 10 quartets of Ben Johnston for a CD production. And
Yeah.
yeah, If there are questions, maybe we can fiddle in some kind of questions and a little talk, if you like.
Yeah,
So
you can write that, excuse me, and otherwise we have 10 minutes at the end for questions. Maybe you can keep them.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I go on and we collect a little of more of Ben's ideas and my approach to Ben. So what is very necessary to know about Ben is O tonality, overtonality, which is the overtone series, and undertonality, and the chain of fourths and fifths, the basic two principles in his piece. Now, coming to his notation principle, this is very, very complex and very difficult to understand, for he starts with the Ptolemy system of you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C in just intonation, a mixture, as we all know, of just fifths and thirds. And since Ben thought this as his basic principle, he came into trouble. For example, what could he do with, if you have C, D, E, F, G, A? The A could be a just fifth on D, D, ba, or it could be, which is another pitch, of course, just a third on F. So if I pretend to have a C, an F, an A, and of course this A in Ben's notation must have a minus sign. So he has families of superimposed fifths in his notation system, and then another family of just intoned thirds. And you can see this goes on, for example, for the Natur sept, natural seventh, 7 to 4. And you can see a special sign here on the C flat. That is a kind of minus added to the B sign. So this shows this is a pitch which is intended to be from the family of the just sevenths. And you can see in my translation of Ben, which I invented after having studied with him some 5 years ago, or even maybe 3 years ago, analyzing Harry Parch and Ben, I try to kind of simplify it for my simple mind. And I just write in under seventh, for example, for just these pitches, to know this is a seventh comma down. And if I have this, in this case, a G flat seventh comma down, and added to this just under third. Ba, ba. I sing wrong pitches. Okay, no problem. Okay. From this, I just sing this ba as a 4 from the U tonality under G flat with the seventh comma. And from this pitch, I get ba, ba, in just under 4 to 5, 4 over 5. I then write from the family of the seventh again, the E flat flat. But since this has a comma up from 4 to 5, I then write a fifth up added to this double B sign. And I made some experiments on my viola myself. This is easily for me to understand. I have a family of under sevenths or comma down sevenths and comma up fifths. So I could kind of more easily then interpret this next pitch, E flat flat. Imagine what the pen is writing. Here you can see his pitches with many signs. Here we have the E.
Ich konnte diesen Titel nicht in deiner Apple Music Mediathek finden.
Oh, sorry,
du kannst
why?
mich bitten, einen Radiosender zu spielen oder
No,
Musik von einer anderen App
I don't know
wiederzugeben.
how this happens. This is the E flat flat with the seventh sign and with the minor sign, showing the relation in 4 or 4 to 5, 4 over 5, and the seventh. So really, I enjoy what Kepler is playing, and they had to study it so very carefully. How could this family of signs be interpreted? And going back to my interpretation, for me, this was very clear. I have the upper fundamental of a U tonality. I have the G flat, family minus or down 7, and then from there, ba 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 ba, the 11th, which I cannot sing properly, of course. But maybe you can imagine what is necessary to interpret such an U tonality, under tonality chord for a string quartet. And these things happen all the time in Ben Johnston. I will send to Augustine my whole essay, which I just did in English for this event. And I must confess, I did it with Deep L, which is a wonderful program to translate things. Of course, I had to go through all this to have it as proper as possible in the sense of musicology or music or composition. But for me, it was a big adventure, Augustine, to do it in English for all of us. And I will continue a little bit. The score of Ben continues like this. And you see these double B signs. You see little figures where I have the impression that Ben shows us, like example, dies irae melodies, body, or BACH, allusions to old music. And if we hear Ben Johnston, we immediately hear that this is not only a huge theoretical approach which he has, but a very musical one. In my transcription here, you can see the dies irae, which appears, and in my transcription, maybe it's more easy for all of us to understand the comma deviations of fifths. For example, the diving down of this first pitch, A flat, D flat, which is more simple. This derives from the O tonality we talked before. And there, all of a sudden, you have a new fifths which dive down. And very often, Ben superimposes all of a sudden again fourths of fifths. You can see here a building of fourths above a B flat, which derives from a B flat with the comma up of a third, indicated by my number fifth here. So all of these fourths derive from the same family, and this is easily to be seen from my transcription. And then he goes on and has a new tonality, I must say, based on a very different fundamental. For example, at this point, we have a simple A fundamental. The A derives from his basic chain of fifths above C, which I talked about earlier. Not the A as a just third on F, but derived from the chain of fifths above C. And you, for example, can see low G here in my transcription indicated by under 7. So this is a 7 to 4, 7 over 4 above A. And this combinations or these families of either just fourths or fifths, in this case fourths, and then overtonalities on A and U tonalities we had before, and then melody kind of ideas which derive from the syntonon of Ptolemy. I don't know if we all have these these family names in our minds. The syntonon is the this ba 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 ba, which I tried to hit at previously. All these families of ideas intermingle in Ben Johnston's concept. And maybe we just hear shortly the going on of Ben's piece. I will start again. Let me go just back to the beginning, and maybe I can show you in addition his score here. Let me see if this is possible. Both. Oops, maybe this could work.
Weißt du, egal ob du dich für links oder rechts entscheidest, beide sind lecker, knusprig und einfach zum Reinbeißen.
Weißt du, egal ob du dich für links oder rechts entscheidest, beide sind lecker, knusprig und einfach zum Reinbeißen.
Und weißt du, was ich noch mag? Nein, was?
Das knackige Geräusch.
I'm very sorry. I cannot have Ben Johnston without the ads. But maybe we just take these 5 seconds. I can skip this shortly, but not now. We all know this. YouTube is kind of... now maybe it could work again. Going back to 7. Now, we have the beginning. Yeah, just up to that point. I would love to show you one other feature of Ben for what he is doing. He is trying to create a Cantus Firmus like event through the viola line. I suppose that you can see my mouse again here. The first point, his starting point, is the viola C, middle C. You can see it here. And what Ben is doing, it's really a lovely construction he is doing. He takes 5/4 measure, which gives him 10 eighth notes. And this number 10 is important for him. For the next viola pitch on 1 is a pitch which is 10 cents higher than the very beginning, this C beginning. Can you imagine that? Ben is doing something which is kind of close to serialistic ideas in a certain aspect. He is trying to do both in a precision, microtonality, and the time structure of this whole movement with solemnity. The cantus firmus of the viola on 1, from bar to bar, is giving him microtonal steps. For example, if he has 10 eighth notes distance of 10 cents, this is the very same distance to the 3rd bar. But now you see a 2/8 bar. So the next pitch is only 2 cents higher on 1 in the viola than the previous pitch here on 1. And this goes an octave high up to the very end of this movement. Variations is the title of this 3rd movement. Ben was very much influenced by the serialistic composers like Pierre Boulez, for example. I think Boulez was the closest of the European composers for him. And on the other side, of course, of Ben, Ben was influenced by Harry Page. I said his mentor. He worked together with Harry Page in California when Ben was a very young student. So both worlds are combined in Ben Johnston's world, the just intonation world and the serialistic world. And for me, this adds to the richness of Ben Johnston. Okay, I will stop shortly just to have at least 15 minutes or so, or 10, to discuss all these things. The very lovely and strange thing with this handwriting of Ben, this is Ben's handwriting of the 7th quartet. The very strange thing is that Ben did many mistakes, and they were never corrected by the Smith Corporation, a lovely woman who presents now all his work. I compared the pencil variation of Ben with his last handwriting, with the published handwriting, and the Kepler Quartet corrected many mistakes, but not all of them. So we will have a huge work of musicologists to then do better, publications of this quartets. I suppose that there are mistakes all over the 10 quartets of Ben. Yeah, okay. So he was not absolutely careful revising these last versions. And it may well be that Ben loved to compose the next, the 8th, which is also very complex, up to his 10th quartet, and not going back to his older stuff. And this may be the reason why, unfortunately, we have many, many problems with his score. So this is, I stop now, and we go back to the normal. Maybe I can go to Zoom and switch off my screen. Maybe, I don't know how. Or maybe we could just say it.
Yeah, if you go to share screen again, you click there and you click stop sharing screen, please.
This is what I wanted to do. Let me see. Freigabe unterbrechen. Is that okay? Yeah, that's working.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful presentation, Manfred. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas on transcribing Ben Johnston's music, and also for sharing your love for his music. And I would like to ask the participants, if are there any questions, you can raise your hand. You can ask Manfred, Professor Stahnke directly. Yes, please. And I will have also something, I'm also having some questions I would like to ask you. I would like the other participants to ask first.
Yeah, danke, did we meet? I think we saw each other.
Yeah, we met in 2016 in Florida, I think, with David there. Yeah. Thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. It was just so great to hear his music and your explanation. And also, Augustine, you are going to share the paper with us, right?
Of course, I said everything to you.
Yes, I'm recording, and then this will be shared from next week, or maybe it will take a few days actually, but it will be online unless somebody has something against it. And then I will be, at some point, I will be asking if any of you is interested in publishing, also to have it on the next volume of Mikrotöne Small is Beautiful, of course. But I don't want to take your time, the time of the...
Sure.
So any questions around, please, to Professor Manfred Stahnke?
Yeah, Don Griol has a question.
Yes, I have a question. So I have a question for the last part of presentation. You said in variation 3, Ben Johnston used the 8th note as like a 1 cent grid, like a horizontally. So like 10 8th notes means like a 10 cents higher, and then 2 8th notes like a 2 cents higher from the middle C, which I think is the fundamental. And I don't think he just used those as 1 cent as a grid, but probably there must be a ratio relationships between the middle C and the next note and the next note, so on and so forth. So what would be his calculation of those ratios between like middle C and the second note, which was like a D 7th flat with 13 cents lowered one? So how did he modulate it to the next section and then modulate it to the next section? That's my curiosity.
Yeah. Don Riol, you are perfect. And this is very, very interesting. Of course, Ben only calculates approximately. So the 1 cent, 10 cents, or 4 cents, 5 cents, these are the distances he has, are always special numbers, special proportions. And there is a sketch of Ben according to this movement variations, where he precisely calculates these proportions in numbers, in tone numbers. You can imagine they are very, very complex relations, of course. But this is the way how he firstly started to do the timeline of the piece. But I don't have it with me. I can send it to you. I have the sketch at home. We are frozen, I suppose. Yeah.
It will be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
I think I send it to you. Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Any more questions, please?
Hello. I always confuse the words serialism of Mr. Johnston's time, meter, rhythm as a kind of serialistic approach. I then could not resist hearing his music as not so abstract as I first thought, but as some kind of surrealism. How do you feel about that?
Interesting, wonderful things. Surrealism, not realistic. This is really the thing. It's for me, it's a kind of heavenly thing. It's not earthly, it's heavenly. Impossible to play live. It's a surrealistic approach, what we had before in quartet music. You are very right. And you are right also in what you mentioned. It does not sound serialistic. Absolutely not. I just took this idea or this word, serialism, to show that Ben wanted to do these two parameters, how these old people like Boulez, they took this term parameter. What they try to do the timeline in coordination with the pitch world. Only in that aspect, this piece of Ben is serialistic.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
And Manfred, you know more details about the studio recording. You know how with Kepler Quartet, you know more details about the processes. How I'm trying to imagine how it was in practice.
Yeah, Ben visited the studio. He was with the players. Then play that. There are even some videos. I suppose, Dr. Well, we have it in the net, maybe on YouTube. I don't know. So.
Oh, we are losing you, Manfred. I don't know if you hear me.
Yes, I hear you.
Oh yes, yes. We lost a few seconds of your speech.
I see. So there, in the studio, there are thousands of cuts. They wanted to be as precise as possible. It was a really complex world. I think it took them 10 years at least or more to produce all these 10 quartets of Ben.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a kind of surrealistic, Richard. Surrealistic, CD production.
Thank you. And any more questions around? Maybe we still have time for one more question. Anyone? Otherwise, I mean, this is kind of a personal question, Manfred, about scordatura and fundamental notes. You're a wonderful viola player, wonderful composer, and do you have any opinion about scordatura for string quartet, for string instruments, and your fundamental notes? I mean, I use it myself, especially with guitar. I think it's easier. I have the feeling it's easier, and I'm more asked to write for guitar than for string quartet. And I didn't really use a lot of scordatura for string quartet because it's kind of not very popular. guitarists never complain. So
yeah, they do.
opinions?
Yeah. Yes, I tried these things. My own seventh quartet has a very, very special microtonal tuning, basically scordatura. Every of these 16 strings is tuned very specially, so that I get overtones in the region of up to the 69th, I think, to the 83rd or so. So one can do it, and if you only then have open strings played, and you say harmonics, I think in English, or flageolets we say in Germany, then you have a family of really just intoned overtones, and I love this. So it's possible. You can venture this, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I ignored this. Okay, I'll check this out. So any more questions? Otherwise, we might continue to the next lecture.
Yeah, thanks to all of you.
Thank you so much, Professor Manfred Stahnke. Thank you. Okay, so I will be helping our colleague Wajdi Abou Diab. Did I say it right?
Hello, yes, Wajdi
Okay.
Abou Diab.
Good morning, a pleasure to have you here. And so, do you want me? Sorry, I have to go step by step. I would like to thank Wajdi Abou Diab for his lecture, Harmonizing the Arabic Maqams. Wajdi Samir Abou Diab draws inspiration from his dual cultural background in Arabic, Levantine, and Western classical music. Born in Lebanon in 1991 and graduated from the Lebanese National Higher Conservatory of Music with diplomas in piano and music composition. And he's currently pursuing his master's degree in musicology of tradition from Antonin University. He has been recognized by the international music community through accolades at the 2022 Emerging Compositions Competitions by Rising Tide Press and the International Women Brass Conference, the Gaetano Gianni Luporini Prize, the American Viola Society's Gardner Music Composition Competition, the LIMF Composition, and the Sergi Pontois Orchestra Studio. And his work has been selected for various call for scores. Why these composers' residencies include residencies at the Site Musical de Metz and the Site Musical de La Beube, aux Dames de Saint, and I don't really speak French. His piano books, Arabic folk tunes, Longa and Sama One, and Wadi Elafi, the songwriter, are created to introduce pianists and classical musicians to Arabic music. His initiatives, Free Music Education for All and the Lebanese Living Composers Channel, have built the trust and support of patrons such as AFAC, Free Muse, Cultural Resources, Goethe Institute, CPML, and CCF. Please welcome Wajdi Abou Diab.
Thank you. Yeah, so it will be my pleasure to be here. So I just prepared the video to be safe because my connection is not a lot of stable. So I would appreciate if you just share the video so we'll watch it together.
Modern world, contemporary music.
For any question.
Yes. Okay. So I will go now to sorry, I switch this off. So share screen, and I go here. I hope I share sound, optimize for video clip, share. So can you see me, please?
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Okay.
In this modern world, contemporary music breaks down barriers and provides numerous opportunities for the advancement and evolution of music that is specific to a nation or a particular geographical region. However, this widespread globalization and audacity to disregard traditional boundaries in terms of musical styles, harmonies, scales, and rhythms bring about a fresh challenge. How can we promote the growth of our native music without forfeiting its essence and identity? In an attempt to answer this question, I have been exploring different ways to compose and harmonize Arabic maqam in recent years. Through experimentation with functional harmony, tension release connections, harmonic direction, and rhythmic progressions, I have developed an approach for integrating harmonic layers into maqam music while maintaining its unique model system. This theory aims to shift from heterophony to polyphony while maintaining the essence of the music. Here, I show the intervals names, abbreviation, and structure as used in this presentation. I used the following accidentals before the note to lower it or raise it. The unit used is tone. One tone is equal to 200 cents, half tone to 100 cents, quarter tone to 50 cents. For the rhythm cycle, we used three types of percussion sounds, represented on a one-line staff as the following. Dum, representing the strong pulse and written as a noir or crush crossed by the line with steam down. Tak, representing the weak pulse and crossed by the line with steam up. S, representing the silence and written as superior or demi-superior crossed by the line. Presented by the musicologist and composer Hugo Riemann in his book Harmony Simplified, published in 1893, this theory described three abstract tonal functions, tonic, dominant, and subdominant, symbolized by the capital letters T, D, and S respectively, each of which could take on a more or less modified appearance in any chord of the scale. The succession of these chords create the harmonic movement and its powerful progression, known as complete progression, in which the tonic chords work as the most stable chord in the tonality, the subdominant chord works as a predominant, leading to the dominant chord, which is, in its turn, leads again. For a long time, the microtonal elements included in the Arabic maqam musical system held an obstacle in front of applying any Western harmony theories, due to the dissonant intervals and chords that result from applying these harmonies, which create a gap between the intended tension release from using a given chord progression and its actual sounding pitch. Another obstacle was the unknown harmonic function of each Arabic maqam degree, due to the numerous maqams and the huge difference between each of them in terms of scales, primary and secondary degrees. As all music systems, modal, tonal, pentatonic, or other, follow the succession of a tension release to move forward, and as this can be a tension release in the harmonic, melodic, or even rhythmic layers, we can also apply this law to the Arabic maqam music, which can be classified as a branch of the modal music. And taking into consideration that this music is mainly monophonic or polyphonic in a type of heterophony, the main element in this music that creates the tension release movement will be the melodic line. Here, I would like to introduce some of the terminology to be used in this paper. Tonic, al-qarar, it's the note that ends the piece, give us closure. It is the most important note of the maqam. Al-ghammaz, like the tonic but suspended, we use it as a temporary stop. We can have multiple ghammaz for the same maqam. The appearance, al-madhar, the arrangement of intervals and how they are sequenced within a structure. The structure, al-haykaliyya, the quality of intervals between the notes of the scale. The structure is a part of the maqam as tetrachord. There are three types of structure in Arabic music. 1. Diatonic, al-qawiyya, a combination between major second and minor second. 2. Zalzaliyan, al-zalzaliyya, a combination of major second and neutral second. 3. Chromatic, al-mulawwana, combination between major second, minor second, neutral second, maxim second, and augmented second. The Arabic maqam can be studied following four aspects. 1. Scale and scale composition, as-sulumiyya al-maqamiyya, the interval between the scale degrees. 2. Primary and secondary degrees, al-maqamiyya al-nawawiyya, darajat asasiyya wa thanawiyya, dominance, ghammazat, and tonic, qarar. 3. Phrasing and reference melody, as-sighiyya al-maqamiyya, melodies and musical phrases that refer to a music tradition. We can conclude the rules from studying these phrases. 4. Perception and sensation, al-idrakiyya al-maqamiyya, psychological awareness of the maqam in terms of musical movements, relaxation, and tension. The scale of the maqam is usually studied in one octave, and sometimes a difference between the intervals can be found between the first and the second octaves, or when ascending or descending. The scale of maqam is constructed by 2 or more tetrachords, sometimes pentachord or trichord, and can be separated by an intervals or overlapped. We call a maqam family all the maqams that share the same first tetrachord in their scales. Based on the theory of semiotic modal developed by Nida Abou Murad in his book Éléments de sémiotique modale, the degrees of the scale of a musical phrase in a given maqam is a succession of alphas and betas, in which alphas present the stable degrees, starting by the tonic, degree 1, as the most stable tonic called al-qarar, followed by all the other odd degree which will have the same aspect of stability that will go less by going far away from the tonic. Example of alphas are degree 1, the tonic, degree 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. and also degree -1, -3, etc. And betas present the unstable or less stable degree which turn to be all the even degree. Example, degree 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. and also 0, -2, -4, etc. The alternation of the alphas and betas create a succession of tension and release similar to the tension created by the succession of dominants and tonics in the tonal music. And by comparison, we can consider that alpha can present a tonic function and beta a dominant function. This theory also suggests a method of reduction for the main melody to a simpler version, going from the phonological level to the morphological level. And this allows us to simplify the melody to a basic structure illustrating the core of the melody. Similar to the Schenkerian analysis, this nuclear reduction proposed going from a foreground layers to a background layers, passing by many middle ground layers, taking into consideration the distribution of the notes in the melodic line regarding the rhythm cycles, the rhythm of cantillation of tafa'il, or a combination between them. We will refer to this method of reduction in this paper by the term nuclear reduction. Quote, a harmonic spectrum contains only frequency components whose frequencies are whole number multiples of the fundamental frequency. Such frequencies are known as harmonics. The individual partials are not heard separately, but are blended by the ear into a single tone. Close quote. We define spectral harmony as the consonance and dissonance that result from the presence of a pitch, called partial, in the spectrum of another pitch, called root pitch. As a result, any relation between a root pitch and a pitch that exists in its spectrum as a partial is considered a consonant relation, and any relation between a root pitch and a pitch that doesn't exist in its spectrum is considered a dissonant relation. And by this, we consider the intervals between a root pitch and any of their first 16 partials as a consonant. Taking into consideration that the spectrum includes a note with half sharp, the partial 11, and a note with half flat, the partial 13, which will give us the possibility to build chords that include a very close, if not perfectly aligned microtonality with the Arabic maqams microtonality. For simplification, we will take as an example the chord based on the root pitch C0, and the result will be a dominant ninth chord with a half sharp 11, partial 11, and a half flat 13, partial 13. And these two partials will be the key to create a consonant harmony that include the microtonal elements of the Arabic maqam. Note that the chord include also a major 7, which is the partial 16. And by analyzing the maqam degrees harmonic functions and knowing the intervallic relation between the root pitch and the degree of the maqam, we can deduce the harmonic function of the chord built on this root pitch and use it as a part of any chord progression in root position or inversion, depending on the harmonic function needed and the voice leading of a specific harmonic passage. Following, I'll be analyzing the intervals containing in the spectral chord, checking all its possible inversion and all the possible intervals that can be found in these inversions. The following table shows the distribution of the intervals in every inversion in terms of qualification. Through analyzing the intervals of the spectral chords and their inversion, we can deduct that every inversion, including the roots, will have a quality of major, minor, or neutral. And this is caused by the dominance in the intervals that share the same quality through these inversions. Based on the analysis result, the different inversion shows different qualities, which conclude that the choice of the chord's inversion will directly affect the harmony color and the tension release created by the alternation of these three qualities, major, minor, and neutral. Choosing what inversion to use will not only affect the colors and the qualification qualities, but also will lead to a possible more interesting baseline that will have a direct result on the harmonic progression in terms of function and voice leading, and most important, stability. Studying the stability of an inversion is possible by studying the spectrum of the bass note of every inversion and comparing it to the spectrum of the root pitch. And the more note in common means, the more consonants we will have, and as a result, the inversion will be more stable, and vice versa. The results show that the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth inversion have a degree of stability of only 37.5%, and even less for the seventh inversion, which shows a 25% of stability. And this leads us to a conclusion that the use of inversions of the spectral chord will create a great amount of instability, and this means that these inversions should be used as embellishing and passing chords only. The notes with microtonal accidentals can act as the 11th or 13th partial for a root pitch, and this can help us develop a shortcut to discover the two possible root pitches for a note with microtonal accidental, which will sum up with the following. If we consider the microtonal accidental as a 11th partial, to find the root pitch, we should go down a maximum fourth from the note with microtonal accidentals. If we consider the microtonal accidental as a 13th partial, to find the root pitch, we should go down a neutral sixth from the note with microtonal accidental. And we note that considering the microtonal note as an 11th partial will result in a more consonant chord since it is closer to the root pitch than the 13th partial, which will result in a more stable harmony. Regarding the other non-microtonal degrees, we can consider the tonal classical functional harmony to harmonize them by avoiding the clash of the chosen chord's note with the microtonal degree of the scale, by eliminating them from the chords or using suspension and retardation. As in any harmonic language, voice leading is the art of connecting the voices horizontally in a vertical chordal progression, and the only difference here is that the voices should be connected in a way that respects the Maqams scale and ser, which means we use melodic phrases that describe and fit the Maqam's mood and logic and respect Maqam's scale. Following are some of the suggested phrases that can connect two notes and respect the Arabic Maqam music spirit at the same time. Note that these examples are a few of many other options that can be found in the wide classical Arabic repertoire, and using variation on them are possible too. To connect two notes with wider intervals, we can repeat one of these examples or a combination of them. Before applying these harmonies using the discussed spectral chord and deducing the chord progression appropriate for each passage, let's have a brief analysis of the main maqams that include microtonal pitches and discover what are the spectral chord that can be used to harmonize these microtonal pitches and what are the possible harmonic functions for each chord regarding its degree on the maqam scale. The definition of the Arabic maqam proposes studying four aspects as explained before. And since the last two aspects are not related directly to the maqam's composition and scales, we will include in this part the analysis based on the first two aspects only, and following a brief explanation of those two aspects. 1. Scale and scale composition, السلمية المقامية. We mean the intervals between the scale's degree and the combinations of seconds that connect the degree in the scale of a specific maqam. And the order of these seconds allow us to define the appearances and the ajnas and finally relate the scale to a limited choice of maqams. The study of the scales and the scale composition allow us to define the inner composition of a given maqam and its relation to the other maqams. And this helps in analyzing the modulation that occurs in some pieces when we go from one maqam to another, or we just temporarily borrow some scales elements from another maqam without modulation. 2. Primary and secondary degrees. المقامية النووية درجات أساسية وثانوية. The primary degrees are divided into two types. The tonic, القرار, which is the most important note in a given maqam, which end the whole piece and give a sense of closing and final. Only one tonic exists for each maqam. The second primary type of degrees is the ghammaz, and this is the most heard degree after the tonic, mostly the degree used in the recitation in religious music, and from which we usually start the modulation to other neighborhood maqams. Some maqams include more than one ghammaz, sometimes 3 or 4. Secondary degrees are the degrees other than the tonic and the ghammaz. The scale of a given maqam extends on 2 octaves, starting from written G2 and going to written G4, and this 2 octaves range is divided as follows. The part of the scale from G2 till the tonic of the scale, al-qarar, is called root, al-jadar. The part of the scale between the tonic and the first ghammaz is called the trunk, al-jadar. The part of the scale between the first ghammaz and the second ghammaz, or the jawab if the maqam doesn't call for a second ghammaz, is called the first branch, al-far' al-awwal. The part of the scale between the second ghammaz and the jawab is called also the second branch, al-far' al-thani. The part of the scale between the jawab and the G4, or from the second ghammaz to G4 if the maqam doesn't call for a jawab, is called climax, al-dhurwa. We mean by harmonic rhythm the rhythm in which the harmonic changes should occur in a given piece of music to reflect the rhythm of the music in the harmonic progression. Studying the relation between the Arabic language and Arabic music is essential to determine the harmonic rhythm and to determine the strong and weak pulse in every given melody. We can divide Arabic music into 4 main categories. 1. Music with lyrics without rhythmic accompaniment called tarneem mursal, in which the harmonic rhythm should follow the syllabs of the lyrics and often return to the Arabic classical poem writing, use specific subdivisions called tafa'il, in which the verse are divided into long and short syllabs that determine his nature. 2. Music with lyrics with rhythmic cycle accompaniment called taraneem muwaqqa, in which the harmonic rhythm should follow the strong and weak pulsation of the accompanying rhythm cycle. 3. Instrumental music without rhythmic accompaniment called taqasim mursala, in which the harmonic rhythm should follow the syllabs of the musical phrases and often return to the classical Arabic poem writing. 4. Instrumental music with rhythmic cycle accompaniment, in which the harmonic rhythm should follow the strong and weak pulsation of the accompanying rhythm cycle. Taking into consideration these 4 main categories, we will be choosing the harmonic rhythm in the following examples. In this example, I chose the Rast maqam having a C diatonic scale in which we lowered by a quarter tone the E's and B's in the first and second octaves. The analysis of the Rast scale is shown here. The harmonization of the E half flat and B half flat gives us the following possibilities. The E half flat can be harmonized by the root pitch B flat if considered as the 11th partial, or the root pitch G if considered as the 13th partial. The B half flat can be harmonized by the root pitch F if considered as the 11th partial, or the root pitch D if considered as the 13th partial. Considering that the 11th partial is closer to the root pitch than the 13th partial, the most stable and consonant harmony will result from using the B flat root pitch for the E half flat degree and the F root pitch for the B half flat degrees. And if the unstable dissonance quality is intended, then using the other root pitches is advised. And as we see, each root pitch gives its chord a double function possibility, tonic or dominant, which allow us to fit these chords in any progression and cover more functional needs. In this example, I harmonized Dulab Rast, transcribed after the interpretation of the violinist Syro-Egyptian Sami Shawaz Takht, as an introduction for the Qasida Ya Asiya al-Hay, recorded in 1926 by Egyptian singer Kulthum. In this example, we assumed that the Dulab was performed with the accompaniment of the rhythm cycle Wahda Saghira Ma'rabat, which contains in the phonologic level 3 pulsations and on the morphologic level 2 pulsations. And here I chose the first and the third as the principal pulsations, noting that other variations are possible too. The double nuclear reduction allows us to rewrite the Dulab in a simpler form. Consider it as the skeleton of the Dulab, on which I will be organizing the chord progression. Learning the bases and the chord progression for this simpler version of the dulab and later filling out the alto and tenor voices, we can have an SATB harmonization taking into consideration using the spectral chords to harmonize the third degrees and respecting the traditional voice leading rules. Here is a harmonization possibility. I used the second chord of each measure as an embellishing chord while keeping the harmony weight on the first chord of every measure, which resulted in an authentic progression that can be represented and then simplified as shown in the table. After replacing the main dulab with the original one and filling out the other voices with some embellishing connection, a possible harmonization can be shown in this example. In the second example, I chose the Bayati Maqam. The Bayati Maqam is a maqam ending on the duga, meaning second degree, resembling the note D or Re, and its scale is a D diatonic scale in which we lowered by a quarter tone the E's and B's of the first octave and the E's of the second octave, and by a half tone the B's of the second octave. The analysis of the Bayati scale are shown here. The harmonization of the E half flat and the B half flat degrees give us the following possibilities. The E half flat can be harmonized by the root pitch B flat if considered as the 11th partial, and the root pitch G if considered as the 13th partial. The B half flat can be harmonized by the root pitch F if considered as the 11th partial, and the root pitch D if considered as the 13th partial. Considering that the 11th partial is closer to the root pitch than the 13th partial, the most stable and consonant harmony will result from using the B flat root pitch for the E half flat degrees and the F root pitch for the B half flat degrees. And if the unstable dissonance quality is intended, then using the other root pitch is advised. And as we see, each chord gives us a double function possibility, tonic or dominant, which allow us to fit these chords in any progression and cover more functional needs. In this example, I harmonized the taslim of Sama'i Bayati by Ibrahim Ahmad Yusuf Abdullah Al-Aryan, an Egyptian composer and qanun player who became a member of Kulthum bands in 1929. And the Sama'i is a traditional form of Ottoman Arabic classical music, usually organized in 4 couplets called khana, followed by a repeating refrain called taslim, resembling the rondo form A, B, C, B, D, B, E, B. In this analysis, we subdivide the rhythm cycle Sama'i Thaqil into 4 unequal pulsations, with the first and fourth equal to 3 subdivisions, and the second and third are equal to 2 subdivisions, representing as follows: 3, 2, 2, 3. And to keep the rhythm elements clear, we divided the third pulsation into 2 equal parts, which result in the following: 3, 2, 1, 1, 3, as the 6 and 7 pulses are considered a mark for the Sama'i Thaqil rhythm. We simplified the tune by nuclear reduction to the phonologic level following the semiotic analysis. And for the harmonic rhythms, we follow the Sama'i Thaqil cycle pulsations that is distributed through the rhythm and divided by strong and weak pulsation. For our nuclear reduction, we considered the first, third, and fourth pulsation as strong pulsation, and the second and fifth pulsation as weak pulsation, and we ignored the note in between these pulsations. slide shows a harmonization possibility for the simplified version of the taslim. To harmonize the second degree E half flat, we used the two spectral chords that include it as 11th or 13th partial, depending on the level of stability needed in the harmonic progression, and this results in the following harmonic progression. In this slide, we see an elaborated version of the same harmonization after using the main melody and filling in between the alto, tenor, and bass voices. The analysis of the Arabic maqam repertoire shows the close relation between the Arabic maqams and the ease in the movement between them, which led me to study the concept of subdominant function in the maqam music to find a solution for these modulated passages without changing the whole analysis center. As the standard analysis in the semiotic modal divides the maqam scales to alphas and betas degree, he didn't suggest any other level of tension that can lead us to a third type, missing the subdominant function. By studying the temporary change of tonic that occurs in many musical phrases in Arabic music, which can be treated as an imprint in other maqam, and if the temporary tonic will lay down on an alpha degree, so by isolating this phrase and studying it, we can notice that the alpha's degree in the main maqam is transferred to a beta's degree in the new isolated phrase and vice versa. And this transformation of function through changing the tonic temporarily can propose a new function in the Arabic maqam word, the subdominant. And this is accomplished by considering the beta's degree in the isolated phrase as dominant for the temporary tonic, which in their turn works as beta's degree in the main maqam scales, which make them dominant for the main tonic. And this results in the B's degree in the isolated phrase having a predominant function according to the main tonic of the main maqam, and that can be considered as a subdominant function. So, the concept suggests studying the modulated passage separately, considering his maqam and center, and applying on it the previously explained analysis and harmonization rules. And after that, the second step is to study the results of harmony function regarding the maqam of the main piece. Following, I will be analyzing and harmonizing an example that includes modulation to demonstrate this method. قدك المياس is a folk tune spread among many musical cultures, including Turkish and Middle Eastern Arabic traditional music, and has many texts associated with it in Turkish and Arabic. But the most famous of them all is the version sung by the Syrian singer Sabah Fakhri. Here we see a possible notation of the melody. This melody is divided into two phrases. The first phrase finishes on G, suggesting a rast maqam on G, and the second end on D, suggesting a Hijaz maqam on D. Here is a nuclear reduction of the tune. In this example, I analyzed the first phrase 3 times. The first time, concerning its qarar, suggests its belonging to rast maqam on G, which give us a series of degree that can be harmonized with tonic and dominant functions. The second time, concerning the qarar of the whole tune, suggesting its belonging to Hijaz maqam on D, which give us a series of degree that can be harmonized with tonic and dominant function. The third time, by substitution of the dominant function belonging to rast by a subdominant function belonging to Hijaz, considering that the subdominant is a predominant and taking into consideration that the rast is situated on the 4th degree of the Hijaz. This process allows us to have possible dominant functions in the Hijaz maqam, which can create a richer harmony and a wider range of tension release and colors. The Arabic music performance practices oblige the performer to add his interpretation to the original melody, and this includes ornamentation, embellishing, respelling, and many other playing techniques that allows the music to be regenerated with every new performance. This practice, when involving more than one performer, it suggests an heterophony texture, which is a trademark of the Arabic takht, or the small Arabic music ensemble. This theory suggests a transformation from heterophony to polyphony by replacing the main monophonic melody with the SATB harmonized version, and using this version as a foundation for the embellishing, which give every musician a single melodic line to play. And the overall sound will be a harmonized version of the melody, replacing the traditional heterophony by a polyphony without limiting the musician's tendency of improvisation and melody respelling. Note that more or fewer voices can be used depending on the number of the musician in the ensemble. We suggest using the simplified version of the harmonization after the nuclear reduction of the main melody to give the performer more space in the ornamentation and embellishing.
Okay, thank you very much, Wajdi.
Thank you. Yeah, so any question? I'm here.
Thank you so much. It's very complete and very clear. And okay, this is you. Huh?
No, not me.
Okay. So
okay. Richard Cameron. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's yeah. No problem. Great. Actually, it's very, very clear and very complete. A lot of information, and the presentation itself is a huge work. Very easy to follow, and a lot of information and everything done really great. Yeah, congratulations.
Yes.
I would like to ask if anyone has any questions for Wajdi.
I do have a question for you, sir. Back in the 1890s through the 1920s, several American composers established what was called the Indianist movement, utilizing Native American melodic material, but rather naively, and rejected by the Native American community and resisted also by the classical music community. How would the traditionalists in Maqam respond, or have they responded to your work with creating polyphonic texture?
Yes. Oh, nice question. So the thing that this is just very new. I discussed this not with a very big number of many my colleagues and the musicians that I work with. We have a need in the Arabic music world to get out from this prison of playing just the melody. There are a lot of conservative people, of course, there that they like that, and my taste is I like this heterophony. It's it's very unique to this music. But what I'm trying to do, it's not to replace. It's just another door, so we can go through the development of this music without getting westernized, let's say, or having very strange element incorporated in it. So that's why I tried to take the functions from the maqam itself. And also how I put this rhythm progression, it's from the rhythm of the Arabic music itself. And it's it will still conserving the form of this music, the melodic phrases of the music. It's just and anyway, in this music we have some polyphony. We have a lot of music that someone played some Easton, let's say, and the other one played on top of it. So we have some type of polyphony, which is basically simple. What this theory suggests is just to replace that we have, let's say, four player playing as an ensemble. Each of this player can play the same melody, but taking his own voice and still doing his interpretation on this voice. So he'll not be playing really this these reading from note as classical musician did. He will just somehow transpose the main melody and add his like ornamentation, and this will stay like, as you listen, like going from the simple version to the not complicated, it's like more embellished version. It didn't like you still hearing like Arabic music. I think that like this will open a door more into the compositional process, more than into the traditional performance, because like who like to play traditional music, he will still play traditional music. So this is what he do. So it's more like into people who are interested in theory and into compositional practice, who need like to use this element from the music without limitation. And just like another, so for me as a composer, I don't use this theory. I work like more in deep with the elements of the music, but it's like just for open doors for this music to be harmonized without being westernized. This is the main purpose of that, and I try to make it like very very simple to use. Behind all this theory, you have also like just a limited choice to choose which chord to use and how you did it, and like with some basic skill of music composition, you can like arrange these tune, which is mainly like simple tune. We don't have like this complicated tune in the Arabic music.
It sounded very, very natural to me. If I had heard the polyphony just without any introduction, I would have considered it to be, a unified texture, as if you were to take the monophonic up a spiral into the polyphonic, just as an organic expansion rather than a transplant of elements. So I really enjoyed it very.
I'm really like happy to hear that. That's mean like I did something like that's work. Because when we are like if you are from the Arabic world and you listen to that, your ear will just like correct everything, because you have these melody in your. But when you are like from another culture and you hear that and you still like think it's working, so this is mean that that the function coming from this maqam is really suitable to this maqam. Because as you see, it's not like the dominant on the fifth, the subdominant on the fourth, and these like replacing like the four with two, and it's not like that. It's like built on thirds, and what is like very important for me, it's like the new aspect of chord. So we have the major, the minor, but we have also the neutral, which is like contain this microtonal elements, which is like for me is that just the mark that differentiate this music about like any other, even if it have like microtonal music, but it's different how we use the microtone. We use them like as a real note, not as like embellishing or just like an accidental. They are the real note, and if we play, let's say, a normal E instead of E flat, the normal E, it will be like the accidental, not the E flat. So it was like very important to have the chords and the harmony built it on these like trend notes in the music. So I think this is the main reason why it sounds natural, because it's from the same music. It's not like from other world,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions? We still have 2 minutes if anyone is having another question. Or in between, I would like to also mention, from Indian music, American Indian music to Spanish music, the melody of the Ras Maqam, Dula Shava, it must be, I believe it must be related to one of the Cantigas de Santa Maria. I don't know which one influenced the other, but I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think it's called Santa Maria Stella Strelado Dia. They must be really blew my mind.
Yes. So as you know, like in the history of Arabic music, we have the era which the Arabian go to Spain, to the Andalus, and they established there like many school, and all like things, these troubadour things, it started from that place. It's an Arab people just like traveling through Morocco and go to Spanish, then they just like leave to other in Europe, and what all is that do these troubadour, just like having like songs from here and there, and then sing it again. And later we have like the French troubadour and the German troubadour, and it's become like for every country you have these traveler musicians who just like move this traditional music with them to every place they will go. And I think this is like the main connection, that we have like a lot of similar music between, even if you listen to the music, let's say some folk music in Norway or in Russia or in the Baltic, you always have like this, especially in Greek also. You listen like to this similarity. It's not clear who is the principal, but I think like the beauty is like they are a fusion of all these cultures.
Folk music, and it demonstrates we all have the same needs, and we are all the same everywhere. Yes. Other conditions maybe, but yeah. Otherwise, I think we should have to continue, Wajdi. But please, if there are any questions, you can use the chat. You can use, if you use Facebook, or you can use the Ekmelik page in Facebook. You can also, there's a mailing list I write to you sometimes. If you have any questions, please, let's interchange ideas. This is very enjoyable, what we're doing here. And yeah, so I would like to say thank you so much for your wonderful, magnificent presentation, Wajdi, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, wow. And I have seen, it's very nice to see new faces this year. It's a great pleasure. And also a great pleasure to see known faces, like another one today, Christian Klinkenberg. He was with here, I mean, he's been in Salzburg himself. He's been also online last time we did it. And so it's a pleasure to present him again for his opera. He's going to talk about his opera, 1984. So in his opera, the music of Christian Klinkenberg is characterized by the combination of contemporary composition concepts and improvisation. He teaches in Luxembourg and Belgium, conducts different ensembles, and he's a founding member of the composers group KLX. Alongside his work as a composer and teacher, Klinkenberg has continued actively as a pianist, band leader, and improviser with different performers and ensembles. Christian Klinkenberg composed music for theater, a ballet, 3 operas, and numerous compositions for different ensembles. So please, Christian, be very welcome.
Thank you. So first I have to prepare everything that it works also with my presentation. So I have to share my screen and also the sound. Let's see if it works. Yes, it seems to work. Perfect. So now I have to go to the presentation. A bit of delay, I see. Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me, and nice to meet you all back again. So I'd like to present my the opera 1984, and the last performance is only three days ago. I asked somebody to record it on video, and in the end of the presentation I can also show you some video and audio examples. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good, very good. So just a few words about the book. You can read it. Everybody, I think most of you know the book. Just a summary. I won't read everything. It's about Winston and Julia living in a dystopian world. Okay, so we had to do some adaptations for this opera, or we wanted also to do some. 3 years ago, we started to plan the opera, and everything that's Big Brother was transferred to an artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence was not such a theme as it's now, so it's a coincidence that nowadays everybody's talking about ChatGPT and so on. So it was the idea 3 years ago, and the artificial intelligence should save the world from all the climate catastrophes and all the pandemics and things like that. Then Winston works in the ministry. In the book, in our opera, he is doing home office. And also we thought nowadays there must be more subtle ways to manipulate people than it was in the book. Nowadays we have all kinds of possibilities to manipulate groups and individuals. And as I said, the artificial intelligence in this opera has to find a solution to save the world. In fact, to save humanity and not the individuality. And that's a big difference. There are only 2 actors, singers on scene. And also the musicians become actors. Performances were in June, 6 in Luxembourg and 1 in Belgium. And maybe we will do more performances in the future. Oh, my phone is ringing. So these are the people working in the composition or in the opera that we can see. And I also asked other people to do stuff like Jacques Pirard. He did for me a music box. In the book, there is something to remember the past, an object. We have here also an object for the opera. That's a music box with a melody I composed. And I asked somebody to create it for me. But that's not Mikrotone. And so on. And then we have Claire Parsons. She is the singer, a jazz singer more. So I like to come to mix all genres to create something new, like it was in jazz, the melting point. Everything comes together and the new music is created. We have also classical musicians, Jean Bermes from Luxembourg. He also studied in Salzburg, the Mozarteum, so many people in Salzburg will know him. Bass baritone. And we have a software I developed together with Lothar Felten that brings everything together. We have a streamed music notation together with text coming from the artificial intelligence and also musicians that are not on scene. Everything and videos also is synchronized with this software. I also work with graphic notation because I think the musicians should concentrate on the pitch. And in this way, I have different colors like red or green. And I like that. I can only write down under the graphic the pitch and all the rest, like a rhythm or other parameters, are more to the graphic notation or to the intuition. They can really concentrate. So like underneath the score, I have like orange notes just underneath the circles or something like that with pitches in the same color. So the instrumental ensemble is keys, bass, violin, percussion, and of course all the musicians that are not on the scene. We have also background speakers and some people in the video. I also asked an ensemble called Sturm und Klang from Brussels to record sounds that are not played live, but just recorded and using Autoconductor, the software, to synchronize everything. I have also other larger ensembles recorded to bring into the opera, like a big band and also a harmony orchestra, because we have some songs to sing that have to be played by a traditional ensemble to sound in that way also. Then I have also musicians like Anne David playing the bass flute. She's also not live, but synchronized. Microtonality in this composition, I used Boland Pierce 41 and 31. A few words about Boland Pierce. Most people know it already. In the Western tonal system, we use always the octave ratio 2:1 divided into 12 equal steps. Boland Pierce is different. We have the ratio 3:1 divided in 13 equal steps. I also use 41 because Boland Pierce is a subset of 41. So it mixes really good together. I have a bass player playing a Boland Pierce bass. And when I play on my keyboard 41, I can write a bass that works with this 41. I don't have to have a 41 bass. I did also some keyboards, and for this opera, I used the lower one in Duo 2 mode. I already last year, not a few years ago, I already talked about different modes. If you need more information about that, I can also give you if you want. So this is how we constructed the keyboard in order to pack them into one keyboard. We have to make them smaller. And here is an example. That's the reference point, A440, and so on. And then we have also the notation for the Boland Pierce bass. I worked with tabulatura, and this is the way it works with a tuning in 440 with the cent deviations. And these are the chimes I used. I constructed them also together with my father. Okay, so it's also like a tabulatura notation. So I wrote down. Yeah, you can see it maybe on the picture. Oh, no, yes, you can see it. That I also wrote. Well, maybe you can't see it. No, it's not on the screen. I wrote down the notes, and the percussion player can see if it's a G, what note he has to play. Even if he doesn't know exactly where it sounds, it's just a tabulatura. Then we have also scordatura for the Boland Pierce violin. I was inspired by Franz Ignaz Bieber von Bibon for the notation. So they just, the violin players can just take their original fingering a little bit wider and then make a scordatura, tune the strings. And if there is written a G, it's like on the lowest string, the open string, and so on. And the D on the third string. And it's working with Boland Pierce. And here you have also, you can see also the frequency. They have to tune the strings in. And this is also a table I made for myself to compose, because I also used, as you saw already, other ensemble, Sturm und Klang, and they don't have special instruments. They have the traditional violins and basses and cello and bass clarinets, and then I just write the pitches with cent deviations. So I use the microtonal systems in a programmatic way in the opera. So all the time I use 41 Edo. It's for time for community. When many people meet, it's just the idea that many notes and many people meet. And I use Boll and Pierce, everything that's the inner monologue and the world of Winston's thoughts. I use 31, sometimes together with 12, but of course only selected notes that work together. In the first meeting of Winston and Julia. So it's dissonance and consonance. And also use 12, is also a microtonal system, the world of the artificial intelligence. It's also a little bit ironic that everything that is individualism is in microtonal systems like Boll and Pierce, and everything that's the common thinking is in 12 Edo. So some examples. This is one part for the Ensemble Sturm und Klang that was not live on scene, that was recorded. And here we can see a scene where I used always Boll and Pierce chords as a signal, and in between there are non-pitch sounds. And it's a scene where Winston is in isolation. He is already imprisoned, and we see always that we have a signal where it's black on scene. That's the Boll and Pierce. And then we have non-pitched passages where it's thinking and talking, and it's a little bit like in Schachnovelle. He loses his mind because he doesn't see anybody, and then he starts counting 1, 2, 3, and then we have a black Boll and Pierce chord, and he is already counting 100, 101, 102. So it's like black scenes. So let's listen to it. Now we are here, non-pitched. And I did always do the lines here in order for the conductor. He can conduct 4/4 just. And it goes on like this. Okay, I can't show everything now, but maybe also some other examples from the opera, some videos. Here we have also not really the beginning, but 5 minutes later, when he appears first on scene, Winston, and it's also a signal, Boll and Pierce signal, and he wakes up.
Guten Morgen, Winston. Ein neuer, ein wunderbarer Tag wartet auf dich. Wartet auf uns. Du bist wir. Wir sehen alle. Wir sehen auch dich. Schwestern und Brüder vereint. Wir, das Leben.
Leben, Leben, was für ein Leben. 5 Jahre, 10, wer weiß das schon. Nur ich allein. Ich muss raus.
Vitalwerte erhöht.
Ich muss raus.
Therapie wird eingeleitet.
Therapie? Therapie. Ich brauche Luft, Licht, Sonne. Was soll das? Schwachsinn, Gewalttat, dass ich nicht lache. Entspannung im Birkenhain. Hamsterrad als Wanderpfad. Ich muss raus. Ich muss raus. Raus. Kannst du nicht mehr? Ich muss raus.
Vitalwerte alarmierend.
Glücklich ist ein Blumenstrauß, ein Blümchen für die Wahrheit, ein Blümchen für den Frieden, ein Blümchen für die Freiheit. Freiheit ist Krieg, ihr schönen Blumenwesen. Wisst ihr das nicht? Das soll euch nicht sorgen. Ein wachsames Auge mit Blick, das Auge normal.
Just go on a bit more.
Für uns.
Another scene. You can see also a little bit the graphic notation on the left.
Du hilfst dir, du hilfst uns.
Blue, green, yellow.
Dein Körper, unsere Zukunft. Atme aus. Unsere Zukunft. Unsere Erde.
Unsere Zukunft.
Atme ein. Schwestern und Brüder.
Schwestern und Brüder.
Menschen vereinen. Du wirst mit deiner Gemeinschaft verbunden.
So now we have a 41 Edu passage.
Zukunft, unsere Erde, Brüder und Schwestern vereint. Wir sehen alle. Wir sehen auch dich. Hallo Julia, schön, dass du bei uns bist. Hallo Julia.
Hallo. Hallo Julia, ich bin Romeo.
Sehr lustig, Winston.
Ich bin Winston Smith. Gerührt, dich schütteln zu dürfen.
Julia, du musst wissen, Winston arbeitet für das Amt der Wirklichkeitskontrolle. Wie wir alle hat er eine verantwortungsvolle und schwierige Aufgabe für unsere Zukunft, unsere Erde. Schwestern und Brüder vereint.
Unsere Zukunft, unsere Erde. Hallo Winston, widerlich diese anderen, nicht wahr?
Und den anderen.
Und den anderen. Und den anderen.
We go on to another passage.
Zeit für Gemeinschaft neigt sich dem Ende zu.
Neigt sich dem Ende. Arbeit, wie schön, ein Sinn, ein Zweck.
That's also an interesting thing. For the bass player, I asked him to work with a really low sound. And here, of course, most bass players have only octavers. So we had to reconfigure the adapter or the effect to make a tritave. So 1 octave plus a fifth lower in order to fit again with Bolen Pierce.
Nicht für uns, für wir. Falscher Pfad. Falsche Wahrheit.
Okay, I think like that you have seen already some examples that are used in the opera. That's of course by far not all. Maybe that's also not the good recording. We will do a good recording in a few weeks, and then of course you can see everything on Spotify. I will finish my presentation and say thank you, and I hope that you have many questions to ask.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, thank you so much, Christian, for being again, for presenting another opera. Yes, maybe Christian. Yeah, if you want, you can stop the sharing if you want, so we can see you closer.
I have to see how to stop the, yes, like that.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Lovely. Yeah, I can see you. We can see you very well. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, for being with us again. And I would like to ask the participants if anyone has any questions to you. I think I see a raised hand. Yes, I see here. Yes. Of course. Yeah. Jacob. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Arison. Hey, Christian. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, great to hear this opera as well. I wanted to add, obviously there's a lot of similarities between the Glacier and this opera, in the notation system and in some of the microtonal systems that you've used, even some of the performers. But I'm wondering what you maybe developed from your previous operas that went in, or what you feel like you've improved upon based on your previous operas.
So I'm, in fact, my goal is to do every 2-3 years an opera and always go on a little bit more with the system. Of course, it is old and new things together, and kind of it's of course there are also things that are not as good, because there's one thing. We had a really small scene, not the last one we saw, but the first 6 performances were only possible with 4 musicians, because it was really, so it's not maybe an improvement. I had to use less musicians, only 4 instead of the last opera. And I have to say, he played also, Jacob was also part of the opera when we played in New York, and this time it was only 4 musicians live. But what I did, and that's maybe an improvement in the technique, I used a lot of different ensembles coming together that are not live on scene. So it's bringing the world in a different way, like with Zoom or something. Of course, live playing is not yet possible, but at least I can record people everywhere in the world and bring them together in an orchestra. That's one improvement, I would say. But in a microtonal way, I worked with the same systems I know already. Only system that's kind of new for me is the 31.
Thank you. It sounds great. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I can't hear you, Agustin.
Agustin, you have to switch on your microphone.
Sorry. Yeah. So thank you very much. And connected to this, I would like to, to ask you also something about, because I can see some similarities. I could see some similarities in your presentation with other operas, and I'm very interested in how you chose your microtonal systems, to know if there are any similarities. If you had the same state of mind in 1984, or how also you chose your microtonal systems in other operas of yours, if there are any similarities, or yes, tell us about it, please.
So in fact, I'm constantly searching for microtonal systems that I can use in a programmatic use that have a really strong character. You can say that immediately, this is Paul & Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
This is 12 Edo. Of course, if there are higher numbers, it becomes more difficult. Maybe then you have to use subset. So I'm always interested in new ideas to have. Also here, there are so many specialists. Maybe some people saying we should also use this one. But also one aspect is also the instruments I have. I had some problems with the orchestra concerning the intonation. So when I write something for orchestra, and I did it often now for strings with cent deviations, sometimes I feel it's not as precise as if I use specialized instruments. So if somebody has ideas what scales or microtonal system I should use for my next project, and also maybe like that working with people in all over the world, please tell me.
Mm. But Christian, sorry that I insist, because myself, I just finished a very big opera. There's a little bit of microtonal music in that, but kind of just for timbre aspects. And I, at the early stages of my my opera, because I'm very interested in atmospheres, I used to listen to a lot of cinema directors. So this is why I'm very interested in atmospheres. I think you mentioned Ball and Pierce system for intimate moments. And what I mean, if you use the same patterns, like when you have intimate moments or intimate atmospheres, if you use this system, if it's the same as you used previously with the glacier or other ones.
Mm-hmm. It's temporary.
Okay.
Just for the opera. Like we have in non-microtonal music, like romantic compositions, you have they use sometimes the whole tone scale for specific scenes that we recognize during the performance, and it's also like that in film scores. Yeah. Like we have Dunkerque or something like that. They have also the idea, the motif of the scale that's going up always. What's the name again? Constantly going up scale like that. And these are motifs. In fact, I use temporary microtonal systems to recognize and to become in the mood. Of course, in another opera, there will be something else.
Yeah, different story. Yes. Otherwise, it might be, I don't know if that might be the best decision for a composer.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you actually, but yeah, everyone has a different opinion. Yeah, thank you very much. I think Gertrude has a question, I believe.
Hello, Christian.
Good to see you.
Yes. So I'm very impressed with this opera, and I have read some very good reviews already in different papers and magazines. And give my regards to Jean.
Thank you, and also to Ela, I guess.
Yes, And now my question is, because you said you used a lot of, I could see graphic notation, and so it's a lot of the performance is based on improvisation, is it?
Yes, and I guess also I believe in that the composer is not the one who has to plan everything into detail. A lot of things also done, like in an opera production or in a theater production, during the rehearsals. And with this kind of notation, we have a lot of possibility to change moods during the rehearsal.
Yeah. Yeah, being a singer, I'm interested how that fits into the. Is the singer also integrated in improvisation process?
A lot.
Yeah. And what about the pitches? It doesn't. He knows then exactly what.
Yes, we have different possibilities. I give him also the pitches underneath the score. Everybody has his individual pitches under the score.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jean, the singer, was always red, and he had always red pitches. Mm-hmm. And he gets also, of course, a lot of references by the orchestra.
Yeah.
When he needs to find the pitch, he gets it. And I have also the possibility, I had a lot of audio tracks, and mm-hmm. I can give him, we didn't not this time, but maybe for the next time, I can send him also pitches on his earphones. Then he mm-hmm. also gets pitches or maybe melodies that he can sing. That's also a possibility.
During the performance.
During the performance.
Yeah.
So I can send up to 22 synchronized audio tracks to different people or to the audience and things like Amazing. That, and also to headphones, Bluetooth Amazing. Or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That was the question. So good luck and congratulations. Thank you.
And Wajdi has also a question.
Yes. So congratulations for the opera, amazing work. So I just want to continue with the Augustine question. So mainly you use the system. It's kind of like leitmotif. Let's say with each
exactly.
That's it. And when you have this combination of two systems, so it's mainly the two characters or the two moods intended, or it's a different thing.
Of course, I didn't really. I could also use it for a character, but in fact, I used it for an atmosphere more. Everything that has to do with the inner monologue, with the inner world, it's more symbolic. Of course, that would be another way. Always connect one system to one person. That would be different. Of course, then we had also the possibility to bring two tonalities together, two systems together. Of course, that's always difficult to mix microtonal systems. Then we have to use also different color that our ear is able to differentiate between the systems. That was also done already in the Glacier, my previous opera. Mixing, but not in, but of course with different colors, in order to be able to see this is Paul & Pierce and this is 1980 or something like that.
All right, thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Richard.
Greetings, Christian. Yes. Good to see you after these 4 years.
Great.
Yes. So wonderful, wonderful to see this realization and hear this realization of the 1984. Early next year, I'm going to be fully staging 3 of my micro operas. So I have a big question. In the rehearsal and staging process, do you depend on other people to pull it all together?
Yes.
Yeah. So as composer, are you still composer?
I'm not the only chef, that's for sure. I'm even, it's a little bit like that. As soon as we start the rehearsals, I'm only the second person. Because then it's the director. He needs to manage the time and everything like that. And that's hard. That's really hard. Because I have to plan a lot. But as soon as we get on the rehearsal, I'm for sure the second one.
And how much time do you spend with that stage director before the rehearsals begin?
Yeah, we did 3 years.
Present the plan to him? Oh, 3 years?
Yes.
Oh Lord.
Not bad. Wow.
So I have maybe 9 months.
That's
try.
also okay if you work a lot. Of course, we did a lot of. Excuse me?
And lighting, for example. Did you participate in lighting plans?
Yes, and we have also with the software I developed together with Luther Felten, we have also the possibility to create the lighting also in my score. Everything is together. We have the possibility to send DMX messages to a lighting table, and we can compose it together with the music, synchronized. And also in the rehearsal, when we go back 2 minutes, it's everything synchronized, the lighting. But it's a lot of work for the composer.
Oh, yes. But in the months to come, can I send you a help message in preparation for my?
Please do.
Okay. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Are there any more questions? We are a little bit 4 minutes ahead of time. Okay, otherwise we can go to a break and have in Austria we have lunch. And we will continue with another link at 1:30, and Gertraud will be the moderation. I will be also with you, of course. And yeah, so I hope, thank you very much, Christian, for your presentation. Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Augustine.
And yeah, so I wish you a pleasant break, and we will see you in 1 hour and 15 minutes, more or less, for the second block of the presentations at the Symposium Mikrotöne Small is Beautiful. So thank you so much to all the attendants and presenters, and see you in a bit.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I need to, okay, recording and